welcome everybody. It's really nice of you to come on this beautiful day when you could have been in the park. So thank you for coming, and welcome everybody on Zoom. Hi. So I'm going to light the chalice, and thank goodness Rob bought this for us because I can't light a match with my hand and I would have set the place on fire. So I'm going to go. Bear with me.
Just breathe on it.
There we go. Thank you, Rob. So our opening words are by the Reverend Celia Cartwright. This is our meeting house for worship. Here we are a community connected by ties of faith and fellowship. May the diversity of our beliefs be a blessing to share, and that all may grow in harmony with the divine. Now, as you know, I like my hymns, so we've got 4 hymns, and one of them is a new one. So to get you in the swing of it, we've got the first one is one you know very well. So it's Purple Book number 186, We Are Travellers on a Journey, and stand if you're able. But we need you to sing louder than the church across the road, right? I'd like to start with a reading by Rumi. It's from his spiritual treasury. And the service is called, you do believe in an afterlife? Some of us do and some of us don't. And that's the beauty of being a Unitarian, I suppose. But the reading, if you listen to it very carefully, you might get something from this reading. If anyone were to tell a baby in the womb, outside is an ordered world, a pleasant earth, wide and open, brimming with thousands of delights and many things to eat, mountains and seas and plains, fragrant orchards, gardens and fertile fields, a lofty sky alight with sunshine, moonbeams, and innumerable stars. Its wonders are beyond description. So why do you stay in the womb, drinking blood in the cramped cell? The baby, being what it is, would turn away in utter disbelief because it has never experienced anything beyond the womb and cannot visualize such a place. So in this world, when the saints tell you of a world beyond, nobody listens to them. Attachment to this physical world is a huge barrier. Just as the baby's craving for the blood that nourishes it in its mother's womb prevented it from perceiving the external world, since it knows no food but the mother's blood. And I think we don't know. We never know. We might think of what an afterlife is, or we might think when we pass, we just go back to ashes. But I think, all those years ago, people were thinking about what is the afterlife about. And I'm going to turn to prayer, so if you just stay quiet, grounded for a minute. And the first prayer is from Benedictus by John O'Donoghue. And I know not everybody believes in angels, but I do. Okay. May the angels in their beauty bless you. May they turn towards you streams of blessing. May the angel of awakening stir your heart to come alive to the eternal within, to all the invitations that quietly surround you. May the angel of healing turn your wounds into sources of refreshment. May the angel of the imagination enable you to stand on the true thresholds at ease with your ambivalence and drawn in new directions through the glow of your contradictions. May the angel of compassion open your eyes to the unseen suffering around you. May the angel of wildness disturb the places where your life is domesticated and safe, take you to the territories of true otherness, where all that is awkward in you can fall into its own rhythm. May it be so. And our next prayer is the alternative Lord's Prayer by Reverend Sue Woolley. Spirit of life and love, here and everywhere, may we be aware of your presence in our lives. May our world be blessed. May our daily needs be met. And may our shortcomings be forgiven, as we forgive those of others. Give us the strength to resist wrongdoing, the inspiration and guidance to do right, and the wisdom to know the difference. We are your hands in this world. Help us to grow. May we have compassion for all living beings and receive whatever life brings with courage and trust. Amen. And now we're going to have our new hymn. Okay? It is quite lovely, but I know we're always nervous of a new hymn, aren't we? So it's Purple Book number 212, Where My Free Spirit Onward Leads. And Kate sorted it out for me as she did all the music for me. So thank you, Kate. So 212, and stand if you're able. isn't it? I hope you enjoyed it. And you did sing beautifully. So we're going to have two readings. Our first reading is Kathy and Christine, and it's about water bugs and dragonflies. And I have to say, my hearing is getting worse, so can you all speak up when you read? Thank you.
This is water bugs and dragonflies. Down below the surface of a quiet pond, there lived a little colony of water bugs. They were a happy colony, living far away from the sun. For many months they were busy scurrying over the soft mud on the bottom of the pond. They did notice that every once in a while one of their colony seemed to lose interest in going about with its friends. Clinging to the stem of a pond lily, it gradually moved out of sight and was never seen no more.
Look, said one of the water bugs to another. One of our colony is climbing up the lily stalk. Where do you suppose she is going? Up, up, up it went, slowly. Even as they watched, the water bug disappeared from sight. Its friends waited and waited, but it didn't return. That's funny, said the water bug. Said one water bug to another. Is she happy here? Asked the stagnant water bug. Where do you suppose she went? Wondered a third. No one had an answer. They were greatly puzzled. Finally, one of the water bugs, a leader in the colony, gathered its friends together. I have an idea. The next one of us who climbs up the water lily stalk must promise to come back and tell us where he or she went and why. We promise, they said solemnly.
One spring day, not long after, the very water bug who suggested the plan found himself climbing up the lily stalk. Up and up and up he went. Before he knew what was happening, he had broken through the surface of the water and fallen onto the broad green lily pad above. When he awoke, he looked about with surprise. He couldn't believe what he saw. A startling change had come to his old body. His movement revealed 4 silver wings and a long tail. Even as he struggled, he felt an impulse to move his wings. The warmth of the sun soon dried the moisture from the new body. He moved his wings again and again, and suddenly found himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly.
Swooping and dipping in great curves, he flew through the air. He felt exhilarated in the new atmosphere. By and by, the new dragonfly lighted happily on a lily to have a rest. Then it was that he chanced to look below at the bottom of the pond. Why, he was right above his old friends, the water bugs. There they were, scurrying about just as he had been doing some time before. Then the dragonfly remembered his promise. Now the next one of us who climbs up the lily stalk will come back and tell us where he or she went and why. Without thinking, the dragonfly darted down. He hit the surface of the water and bounced away. Now that he was a dragonfly, he could no longer go into the water. I can't return, he said in dismay. At least I tried, but I can't keep my promise. Even if I could go back and one of the bugs would know me in my new body, I guess I'll just have to wait until they become dragonflies too. Then they'll understand what happened to me and where I went. And the dragonfly winged off happily into his wonderful new world of sun and air.
Thank you, Kathy and Christine. So maybe we won't know till we pass over, but you can see the difference. Maybe we just change bodies, or maybe some of us do come back to visit, which I think some of you have had messages, and I know Thelma has heard from Jill, haven't you? And our next reading, Margaret is going to read from us, and it's by White Eagle. And that will be followed by a short silence, where if you want to, you can light a candle for anyone recently passed. I'll hand that over to Jill. Thank you. And then it will be followed by a piece of reflective music.
So the reading is by White Eagle and is titled Treasure in Heaven. You are living an outer life in a physical world, but side by side with this outer life, there is an inner life. This inner life is a world of thought, and thought promotes action. Now, as a man thinks, so he becomes. He's creating his inner world. From that inner world come his speech and action. When the time comes for the spirit finally to leave the body, it goes into what may be described as an inner world, which has been created by thought. Thought is the impetus, is the seed of action. So obviously, if you look for a heaven world that is beautiful and peaceful, you must strive to attain that world of beauty and peace within yourself, within your soul, in your thoughts, because this is the world that one day awaits you.
Thank you, Margaret. And now we'll have our silence. And if you don't need to say anything, but if you'd like to light a candle for someone that's passed, please do. And I'm going to actually ask Jill to light a candle for me for Lee, who passed last week. Thank you. now we'll have our third hymn. It's always good to do the service because you've got to choose your favourite hymns. So it's Purple Book again, 199, Weaver God Creator. Do you wonder what happens when your body dies? Do you often think about the life after? I've always been someone that believes in the continuation of life after death, or as Jesus said, the eternal life. I think I've always known in my heart or my soul, since I was small, that there was more after death, despite the fact that my family were all atheists, which is strange, really. I think in this life, we live several little lives. So we have several little deaths, really, don't we? Because we may move several times. Our bodies are different throughout different times of our life. So I think when we die, we just carry on in a different place and a change of body, just like the story about the dragonflies, which Kathy and Christine read earlier. I first saw spirit, and I call spirit spirit, you may call it something else. I first saw spirit when I was 11. It was in the early hours of the morning, and I woke suddenly and I saw my cousin standing at the end of the bed, looking so peaceful. I thought, why is she standing at the end of my bed? She lived a long, long way from me. And why is she saying nothing? Why doesn't she talk to me? And then I found out the next day that it was at that time she had died giving birth to a beautiful baby girl. Unfortunately, when I told my mum, she hit me all round the room, obviously thinking I'd made it up, and she was probably scared, I guess. Since then, I've smelled, heard, or seen spirit. Sometimes there is just a tangible silence when I know something's going to happen, or I don't know, sometimes there's just a tangible silence around me. These don't happen to me regularly, on a regular basis. I can't just drum it up, you know, but it just happens at different times in my life. You may say it's imagination, but then what is imagination? Some of you have had these experiences too, and I know some of you here have told me about them. But we often keep quiet about them, or we don't recognize them. In fact, when I talked about the tangible silence, a friend's relative passed this last week at a relatively young age. He was in hospital in a different town to where she lived. And at the time he passed, that she felt this tangible, real silence around her. And it's different to a normal silence. You can actually, it's like a fog silence, you can feel it. And it was the time he died. Mark Travers, who writes about world psychology, states that a survey done in 2021 found that in the United States, 83% of adults believed in some form of an afterlife, including individuals who didn't identify with any particular religion or didn't even believe in a God. But just think of all those things we know are there, but we can't see them. Think of a ship in the Sound, which we see clearly. It's very big, isn't it? But as it sails, it gets smaller and smaller, and we can't see it anymore. But it gets to its destination, and those in that country see it as we had originally seen it. So who's to say about an afterlife? We don't know, or maybe some of us do. Who would have thought years ago that we would have had handheld small mobile phones that we could see and talk to loved ones in far-off countries, or even our church friends joining on Zoom? You would never have believed that could happen some years back, would you? I joined a spiritualist church when I was about 50, after going to a mind-body fair in the local library. I have to say, at that point, I didn't even know spiritualist churches existed. But when I joined, I felt I'd come home. Like all people, there were good and bad mediums, but I did have some very meaningful messages, not just for me, but for me to pass on to other friends. I came to this church after moving from London, and the sign outside said, "Everyone welcome." I walked in and I said, "Could I come here? I'm a spiritualist." And I believe it was Sheila that said, "Yes, of course you can come here. Everybody's welcome." And I've been here ever since. About a year after coming to this church, I joined the Unitarian Psychical Society, which has had many famous names looking into psychical research. It also has a very good website if you want to look further. Sir Alistair Hardy was a Unitarian and a member of the Psychical Society. He is now well known for setting up the Religious Experience Research Centre in Oxford, but the archives are now moved to the University of Wales in Lampeter. Sir Alistair Hardy was very unusual for his time. He was a marine biologist and believed that science and spirit were linked. This was at a time when science was meant to end thoughts about the supernatural. A very learned man, Michael, from our congregation, who worked at Plymouth Marine Labs on plankton, he actually first told me about the Alistair Hardy archives. In this centre, there are thousands of experiences recorded, from near-death experiences, premonitions, spirit messages, etc. You can now read all of these online, but there are thousands and thousands to read, so it'd take you a long time. Mark Fox, a researcher, writes in the Psychical Studies Journal, spring 2023, and he's been doing research at the archives. And the piece he writes, it sort of sang to me a bit, really. Excuse me. He titled it "Many Voices, Sacred Spaces." And he writes about testimonies while researching the archives. And this one is titled "A Scent of Violets." The account that follows describes an experience of a sister in a neonatal theatre some 50 or so years ago. She was 23 at the time and had just been listening to the words of a surgeon who had been holding a dead baby's heart while trying to explain what it was. It was a failed operation to repair a phallus tetralogy, I probably haven't said that properly, that had led to such a tragic and untimely death. In her own words, the sister describes what happened next. Suddenly, the room and theatre were permeated with the scent of violets and an almost tangible sense of peace. The surgeon, a hard-bitten Australian, comments on the scent, but no source could be found. And she says, "Since this time I have felt no pain at any death. I am sure of the presence of, who knows, love, peace, God. I have no personal fear of death, despite threats of hell and purgatory in my life prior to this event. I'm married, have 3 children, work as a sister in a neonatal theatre. In fact, I'm a hard-headed professional woman. The peace is still in me, even now. I have never discussed this experience with anyone other than the staff present at the time. All had smelled the perfume. This has always puzzled me," she says, "not obsessed me, but it has upheld faith in love." I too have a strong smell of woodbines around me whenever my dad's near me. So that smell, and sometimes you probably don't even notice these things how we go about our business in our busy lives. But if you're quiet, you may pick up a scent or a feeling. I quote from the Unitarian Society for Psychical Studies leaflet, which celebrated 50 years of the society. Unitarian, and this is talking about the psychical research really, Unitarianism is a liberal and creedless faith rooted in the Christian tradition, yet on a spiritual adventure in search of truth. Unitarians are a faith community for those on a spiritual journey, for those who believe there is still more to be discovered in religion. They believe in religious exploration through the intellect and through the spirit. Unitarians are known for their liberal attitudes to spirituality and embrace many different worldviews. If anything, this is the strength of a Unitarian approach to psychical research. Lack of dogma means that psychic experiences are approached in a truly skeptical way, with an open mind, following where the evidence leads. And if you hold different views to other members, then that is fine. It is positively encouraged. Mark Travers, who I quoted above about how many people believe in an afterlife, concludes in his writing, "Our beliefs about life after death can impact on our well-being, our commitment to environmental sustainability, our identities, and even our treatment of others. Our views on the afterlife are not only confined to the spiritual realm, but also play an integral role in shaping the way we navigate the complexities of existence on Earth. Afterlife beliefs may offer solace, provoke reflection, or challenge conventional wisdom, shaping our perspectives and life experiences in ways that we are only now beginning to understand." Well, I don't know about all that, but but I do know I am comforted by my belief in an afterlife. And as the great man Shakespeare said in Hamlet, "There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy." So thank you for listening. And our final hymn is number 167, Purple Book, "There is a Place to Call My Own." benediction is by John O'Donoghue. May you live this day compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, and generous in love. May it be so. And the video we hear late, the last video, has nothing really to do with the service, but it's a wish I have for all of you.